U.S. interest in the Iran and Israel war. In the shadows of the Middle East, an ancient rivalry simmers. But behind the scenes, powerful hands maneuver the chessboard. The world sees missiles, protests, and political speeches. But the real war is hidden. Between Iran and Israel, blood has been spilled for decades. But what if I told you that one of the most powerful players in this deadly game is not even from the region? Tonight, we peel back the layers of deception to uncover the true crime of power, manipulation, and survival, the U.S. interest in the Iran-Israel war. This is True Crime and Mystery Files. To understand why the United States is so deeply involved in a conflict thousands of miles away, we must first revisit the roots of this tangled web. In 1979, a revolution shook Iran. The US-backed Shah was overthrown, and the Islamic Republic of Iran was born. The Ayatollahs came to power with a mission: destroy Western influence in the Middle East and eradicate the State of Israel, whom they saw as an illegitimate occupier. The hostage crisis at the U.S. Embassy in Tehran sent shockwaves through America. 52 Americans held hostage for 444 days. The images haunted every U.S. household. For the first time, Iran was etched into American consciousness as a dangerous enemy. But across the region, another story was unfolding. Israel, a small but technologically advanced nation, had become America's closest ally in the Middle East. Surrounded by hostile neighbors, Israel's very existence was constantly under threat. And in Washington, the sentiment was clear: an attack on Israel is an attack on us. While the world watched official speeches, behind closed doors, a darker story was being written. Iran couldn't match U.S. or Israeli firepower directly. Instead, it built a secret network of proxy groups: Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and Shia militias in Iraq and Syria. These groups became Iran's invisible army. In response, Israel began carrying out targeted assassinations, mysterious airstrikes, and cyber attacks deep inside Iranian territory. Scientists working on Iran's nuclear program mysteriously disappeared or were killed. Natanz, Iran's nuclear facility, suffered a mysterious cyber attack, later revealed as the infamous Stuxnet virus, allegedly developed jointly by the US and Israel. The shadow war had begun. But why, you might ask, is the United States so deeply invested? Some say it's ideology, protecting democracy and fighting terrorism. Others say it's power, controlling one of the world's most vital regions. The Persian Gulf supplies nearly 20% of the world's oil. The Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway near Iran, sees 1/5 of global oil trade pass through it daily. Any conflict could spike oil prices overnight, triggering a global economic crisis. For the U.S., keeping these waterways open is not just important, it's essential. But there's more. The United States maintains military bases throughout the region: Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia. These aren't just symbolic, they are strategic launching points for rapid military response. The warplanes, warships, and thousands of American soldiers stationed there are the guardians of a fragile peace that could collapse at any moment. Behind every war, there are powerful interests. The pro-Israel lobby in the United States is one of the most influential political forces. Organizations like AIPAC, American Israel Public Affairs Committee, ensure that both Republican and Democratic politicians support strong ties with Israel. Billions of dollars in military aid flow from Washington to Tel Aviv. Advanced weaponry, Iron Dome missile defense systems, cutting-edge intelligence technology, all paid for, in part, by American taxpayers. But on the other side, there's growing tension within the U.S. itself. Some American citizens question this support, pointing to human rights concerns in Gaza, and argue that such unconditional backing may entangle the U.S. in unnecessary wars. Yet, any politician who speaks out against this alliance often finds themselves quickly isolated. The political game is ruthless. Then, the unthinkable happened. September 11, 2001. The terrorist attacks on U.S. soil changed everything. Though Iran was not directly involved, the event intensified America's obsession with Middle Eastern threats. The U.S. invaded Afghanistan and Iraq, toppling Saddam Hussein, Iran's archenemy. Ironically, by removing Saddam, the U.S. indirectly empowered Iran to extend its influence across Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and beyond. The unintended consequence? Iran grew stronger. And Israel became more anxious than ever. But there was one fear above all: Iran going nuclear. Israel vowed that it would never allow Iran to develop nuclear weapons. The United States agreed. A nuclear-armed Iran could not only wipe out Israel but also shift the entire balance of power in the Middle East. American aircraft carriers patrolled the Gulf. Sanctions crippled Iran's economy. Covert operations intensified. In 2015, a temporary breakthrough occurred, the Iran Nuclear Deal, JCPOA. Iran agreed to limit its nuclear program in exchange for lifted sanctions. For a moment, it seemed like war could be avoided. But in 2018, under President Donald Trump, the U.S. withdrew from the deal, calling it the worst agreement ever. Sanctions returned, and Iran resumed its nuclear development. Tensions skyrocketed once more. Then came a move that stunned the world. On January 3, 2020, a U.S. drone strike killed Qasem Soleimani, Iran's top general, in Baghdad. Soleimani was not just a military leader, he was the mastermind behind Iran's regional expansion. His death was seen as an act of war. Iran retaliated by launching missiles at U.S. bases in Iraq. Though there were no fatalities, the message was clear: we will not back down. The region stood on the brink of a wider war. In the years that followed, the violence only escalated. In 2023 and 2024, mysterious explosions rocked Iranian military sites. Israeli airstrikes targeted weapons shipments in Syria. Iranian-backed militias launched drone attacks on U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria. Hezbollah, Iran's strongest proxy in Lebanon, amassed over 150,000 rockets aimed at Israel. Hamas continued its attacks from Gaza. By 2025, Israeli intelligence warned, a multi-front war is not a question of if, but when. And once again, U.S. forces prepared for the worst. So what does America truly want? Some experts say it's about oil. Others say it's about controlling global influence. Some argue it's about protecting Israel. The truth, maybe all of these. For decades, controlling the Middle East has allowed the U.S. to dominate global energy markets, limit Russian and Chinese expansion, and maintain military superiority. Israel is both a strategic partner and an ideological ally. But behind this grand strategy lies another layer, the U.S. arms industry. Wars fuel weapons sales. Billions in military contracts flow to American defense companies whenever conflict brews in the region. Fighter jets, drones, missiles, surveillance systems, business booms when tensions rise. In the grim world of geopolitics, war is profitable. But what happens if full-scale war breaks out? If Iran and Israel engage directly, regional chaos will explode. Hezbollah's missiles would rain on Israeli cities. Israel could launch massive airstrikes deep into Iran, targeting nuclear facilities. The Persian Gulf shipping lanes would be choked, crippling global oil markets. American forces in Iraq, Syria, and the Gulf would likely be attacked by Iranian proxies. The United States might be drawn into a ground war, something it has long tried to avoid. Russia and China could exploit the chaos to expand their influence. And worst of all, if Iran's nuclear facilities are hit, radioactive fallout could spread across the region, killing thousands. The stakes are apocalyptic. The Chinese President Xi Jinping's comments came in a call with Russian President Vladimir Putin, in which both leaders called for a ceasefire, according to a readout by China's foreign ministry. Earlier this week, Russia warned that Israel's attacks have brought the world millimeters from nuclear calamity, and Putin urged Trump against attacking Iran, as the president is mulling direct U.S. military engagement in the war that has already killed hundreds in Iran and dozens in Israel. For now, the shadow war continues. Cyber attacks, sabotage, proxy battles, and covert assassinations continue daily, mostly hidden from the public eye. The United States publicly calls for peace. But behind closed doors, deals are made, intelligence is shared, and military preparations continue. Every move, every strike, every assassination is calculated. A single miscalculation could ignite the entire region. The war between Iran and Israel is not just their war. It is a web of global powers, secret alliances, and high-stakes gambles. And in this deadly game, the United States stands at the center, sometimes as the guardian of peace, sometimes as the silent manipulator. In the end, we are left to wonder, is the United States truly defending freedom? Or playing a dangerous game of empire building under the guise of peacekeeping? In the world of geopolitics, truth is rarely what it seems. This has been True Crime and Mystery Files. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe.